Greetings, YouTubers. YouTube. This 3coursethoughts here. I hope you guys are having a excellent day, night, whatever time zone you guys are in. So let's get to today's topic. So today I'm going to be discussing an alternative perspective to that of the idea of conformity. So the general idea of conformity is like something in which an individual conforms to a certain line of thinking, certain line of behavior, in line with certain things that's common or general to the relative masses. And the reason I'm making this video primarily is because I've seen a lot of content where people say how they've been very successful in a particular endeavor, something of that manner, and that they should have, what it cost them that success cost them to lose their sense of self. They didn't know who they were anymore, or they might have not discovered who they were. And these things are, very concerning. It's important, but a perspective that might not be noticed, that might fall to a wayside with the increase of individuality. That individuality, as good as it is, as essential as it is, has a cost. It's a set of costs. Generally speaking, that's a primary reason why it's not jumped to and why there is pressure to conform in the first place. If it wasn't as costly and as expensive, there wouldn't be much pressure to conform, if you will. So, what do I mean by that? I'll give a slight personal example. So, me as an individual. Like when I was like in college and so forth, I marched to the beat of my own drum. I pretty much, there'll be a certain style, certain way, a manner of handling certain things and so forth. And I just pretty much marched to the beat of my own drum. And while this is very good, it's very empowering, it's very freeing. Trust me. I know from experience. This is something I can personally vouch for. And you may make, genuine friends and so forth, and that's wonderful in and of itself. However, there is the cost that should be kept in mind is that you may distance because it's conformity is commonplace, if you will. You create a sort of distance. Now, you can filter out friends, people who genuinely have your best interests at heart. When you're an individual, you can more easily make a more effective filter for discerning who has your best interests at heart and who your inner circle can be. And that can be very useful. However, the cost of this is that, like I said before, there's an alienation between yourself and the society that you live in. So this is something that should be kept in mind when expressing aspects of your individuality. This is something you might need to be mindful of. For instance, I'll give you an example. If you're on a job, right? Job interview, first impression for like even a date, if you will. While you can express certain individual, you can do whatever you want. But while it's recommended, you're free to express that individuality. It can be costly in the sense that if you express it too freely, you don't necessarily know the party you're dealing with or who you're dealing with, and that may cause a degree of alienation that may not be that might work to your detriment. Now you might say, okay, I understand the job example, but what about dating? and so forth. And listen, I'm not like an expert on this subject matter at all, but what I'm trying to say basically is that that alienation can be widespread to other examples if you're careless or expressing that individuality too much or too soon. Part of that inner circle thing that I was saying is that it's like when you dive into the realm of conformity, so to speak, it's like you're playing your cards close to your vest, where you can evaluate, you're in a better scope and field to evaluate your environment so that you can see that this particular environment might be a little more safe and conducive for me to express that my individuality in doses and so forth. Also, the next part of this subject matter I want to get into is the idea of conformity versus community. Like I said before, individuality is costly because it creates a degree of alienation. It alienates you from the community, which has certain aspects of conformity, but a community is surrounded around this idea. Now, this can be in different forms, like different communities. Like you'll have a gaming community. You'll have a community of professionals in different sectors and so forth. You'll have specialists, like a group of scientists. Community could be friends, family, and so forth. So, that's the idea, a positive aspect of conformity. Now, conformity can go too far, and like the example I mentioned before, where people have mentioned like what conformity has cost them. This that's a more negative aspect of conformity, where conformity goes too far away from that element of community. So there's a gauge, if you will. So conformity and community, two different poles, if you will. And try to, like everything else, you balance it out and try to stay in the middle to the best of your ability. If you don't believe me, you can try for yourself, give it a shot, and also look into evolution in the sense that the idea of conformity in the sense of adhering to your community was something that was naturally selected by our ancestors. And also you can look at the animal, if you don't believe me, you can look at the animal kingdom, you can look at your social circle, your environment around you, and so forth. So, that's all I have for today. If you like the video, please don't forget, give that thumbs up. Please it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Also, don't forget to subscribe, share the video, comment if you have questions, a certain topic that you'd like for me to discuss. All right, guys, have a nice day and happy Thanksgiving / happy holidays. Stay safe out there, all right? Take care.